Hey everybody, it's Michael from DC Hidden Gems, and we're here with Villa V Vibes Volume 3. So I'm so happy you're with me today. I'm excited to have this discussion with you today. We've gotten really good feedback on this format, and today we're going to discuss something pretty juicy. It's going to be a lot, and hopefully you'll give us good feedback on this one too, but we want all your feedback. For those of you that haven't seen this before, we basically do a free-form kind of weekend update that kind of goes through some personal updates from us, some Villa V updates, some what's next, and today we actually even have a little bit of a new section that we want to share with you. So first of all, on a personal update, it was 3 years ago, January of 2022, that we were actually in Merida, Mexico on one of our very early long travel, early retirement trips. Chris and I have been doing vlogging for a long time before Villa V. Many folks don't know us except from Villa V, but we early retired in the fall of 2021 and did before Villa V what we call slow travel, where we would go places and stay a month or more at a time. And 3 years ago, we were in Merida. We had never been to Merida before, and it came up on our kind of memory book today, and we looked at that and just really had such rich memories. We love Mexico, and we're actually permanent residents of Mexico, believe it or not. But the other thing that Mexico gave us was a better use of Spanish. And of course, we're down in South America, and we're really pleased with how far our Spanish has come. At 61, to learn a new language, for me, has not been easy, but we're getting there. We're clearly not where we want to be, but we're getting there. And as we've kind of gone around South America, we're really pleased with how we do that. Now, we attribute that to Duolingo, and we are not sponsored by Duolingo and are not receiving any kind of credit, but Duolingo is really working for us. So if you're interested in that, I will tell you there's a kind of a free version that we used for a while, and then we went to a paid version. It's a real better experience for us, and Duolingo's helped us go there. We have the family plan, and we use it together. So our Spanish is getting better, and as we've kind of gone around South America, that's a good thing. The other thing that we would add to the personal update is one of our viewers, or actually many, have asked us, hey, do you guys pay gratuities on Villa V? And we don't pay separate gratuities. Gratuities are included on Villa V. We do contribute to something called a crew fund. The residents on board actually contribute beyond the gratuities that are included to a crew fund. And we heard with that crew fund, the crew had a really nice holiday party. And maybe I heard a little bit about it, but it was something that they absolutely deserved, and one that we hope as residents that they had a great time on. We're introducing this new section today called Travel Well. Travel Well means basically, hey, we want to throw something out there that's working for us that may help you travel better. And today I want to talk about something that's really been interesting. This is free. We are not sponsored, but we use a website called WhatsInPort.com. And essentially WhatsInPort.com gives you the lowdown on all of these cruise ports. So you go to the country, you go to the port, and it tells you so many things, from the weather to do you trust the taxis or not, to how far away the port is from the city, and how do you negotiate this or that or the other, the currency, everything. And it's free. And we've found that it's really, really beneficial as we start planning our ports, especially on Villa V, where we're going to so many ports and so many new ports and so many lesser, kind of known ports. It's not like we're pulling into, Nassau every time. So there is a lot of information on this thing, and we have found it to be really beneficial. On the Villa V update today, I'm going to talk about something pretty intense, I guess, and pretty much out there, clearly in terms of Villa V. We had a viewer, and thank you very much, Dino, ask, I am glad you were satisfied with the VVO. So many people on here are just attacking you and VVO for existing and making changes in itinerary. I just never understand why people are so angry at a company that has been working so hard to succeed. So obviously, if you've been around Villa V land very long, you see a lot of the negativity, and we're going to get into in a minute kind of 8 reasons that we've thought about. Villa V Residences is a startup company that does residential cruising. They bought a a retired ship. They retrofitted it. There's been a lot back and forth, and we've been sailing for over 100 days. It has been a bumpy road, and there's a lot of stuff out there. And with that comes a lot of scrutiny. So number one, legitimate concerns. There's a lot of legitimate concerns related to this industry and to Villa V. So it's no, secret that there have been other failed attempts to do what Villa V has done. I'm not going to get into the different companies, but they're out there. You've heard about them. You've seen about them. So regardless of what Villa V has or hasn't done, folks before them have done this and failed, and it has not all ended well. People have lost money. There have been expectations that have been not met. So forget Villa V for a minute, but Villa V is playing in a sandbox that definitely has issues that have occurred in the past. So, failed ventures are out there. So they're playing against the backdrop. Villa V is playing against the backdrop of legitimate concerns that come from failed ventures in this space in the past. So clearly that's going to flavor everything that's going forward. And this is all Villa V is. Villa V had a very delayed launch. No question. They thought they were going to depart in May of 24. It was many months later. It was a lot of repeated starts and stops. There's a lot of reasons for that. We've talked about that before. But the net is Villa V, not the failed industry, but Villa V had a really kind of rough start. And there were some self-inflicted wounds there. I don't think anybody intentionally did the wrong thing. They clearly had some things that came up and they were very difficult to deal with. Set expectations that were reset a few times over and again, and I think that is clearly part of the discussion. And then there's been things that they've had to change and adjust along the way because it is a startup. But I guess the point is that legitimate concerns basically do also include things that Villa V did or didn't do well that go into this discussion. Number two, and this one's interesting, is just simple misunderstandings. This is a lot of people thinking they know what they know, but they don't really know it. Changes in itinerary is an example. We've seen people outraged that we were not going ashore in Antarctica. Now, the Antarctica itinerary has changed. That's a different discussion. I'm not talking about that right now. But my point is people were like, wait a minute, you were going to Antarctica, you're going to get on Zodiacs, you're going to do all these things. That was never part of the plan. We've been to Antarctica a few times, and we've always cruised. We've never gone on one of the expeditions where you get off on the Zodiacs and it's polar class ships and a very different kind of offer in terms of the cruise. So there are folks that have been upset that we're not getting off on Zodiacs. We were never intending to get on Zodiacs. Number three is misinformation. There are false kind of rumors and all this stuff circulating online. Now, I'll give you an example. Not that long ago, there was an online people in the comments, different places saying that Chris and I owned Villa V, that we owned the company. We do not own the company. That's misinformation, and that's just not going to ever help anybody. That's an example, that's out there, and that's where some of the stuff and some of the hate we saw came from. The next thing is kind of the startup struggle. And we've talked about startups and this kind of thing. Well, startups are tough. And, that's not a get out of jail free card for every mistake anybody ever makes. Never. I was a corporate officer in several big companies, and then I was a publisher at the end of my career for a smaller company. And I understand kind of startups and actually used to do turnarounds and that kind of stuff. So I understand kind of what happens with that. Chris, the same thing in his career. So we understand that there's a certain thing that startups go through. If it's a cupcake bakery in Georgetown, if it's Villa V, or if it's anything else. So a lot of things that start new have challenges, and it's just the nature of the beast. That's why they have to pay more to get investors. That's why more of them fail. That's why, it's a long shot, but when you make it, you make it big. Some examples of that, Airbnb. You've heard of Airbnb, right? In 2008, a couple of guys, couldn't afford to do what they wanted to do in terms of travel, so they rented out some air mattresses and called it, air, bed, and breakfast. It was mocked. People thought it was unsafe. They thought it was a scam. They thought it was 1,000 different things. Well, it's Airbnb. Uber. Uber in 2009, it was hailed as unsafe. You don't have insurance. You're going to have all of these terrible crimes happen and that kind of stuff. Protests, of course, all kind of things. Well, Uber. PayPal. In the 90s, PayPal was really scrutinized. You're transferring money. You're taking my, banking information. What are you doing? That kind of thing. And of course, now PayPal's massive. Groupon founded in 2008. Nobody understood how they were making any money. How could they sustain as a business? And of course, the rest of the story. Those are just a few examples, but the net is startups go through tough times, and they not only have the challenge of the business itself, they have a lot of people, suspicious. And so if you're not understanding of that, or if you're unaccepting of that, if you can't deal with that, if you want to hate on that, you're going to be hating every startup probably that you lay eyes on, because that is the nature of the beast. Public arguments is the next thing. A few people can go very public sometime, and you think that's the entire story. So if there's hundreds of people on Villa V, and there's a few that are very vocally upset for whatever their reason, that does not speak for the whole. If you made a 97 out of 100 or even a 90 out of 100 on a test, even at Auburn where I went to school, that's a high B or a low A. So don't take the 10 points that, are off a little bit and declare that the whole thing's a failure or the whole thing's a whatever. Public arguments get amplified, get misconstrued, and then people pile on, that they throw around the hate, and it's just kind of crazy. A few anecdotes don't define anything. Hopefully we all understand that. And I think the other thing is people kind of have martyrdom complexes at times. I'm speaking for, no, you're not speaking for me. I'll tell you that. My last comment on that is, who are you going to listen to? Who are you listening to, and just why? I don't know. Life's too short. The next topic, and we're clearly a part of that, is the vlogger effect. There are people out there, many that have never been on the ship, that want to amplify anything that they get, or they're the ones that are saving and speaking for and all this stuff. I call BS on that. I don't think that is a need. Hopefully adults, especially any adult on Villa V, could find a way to deal with whatever they're concerned with. One of the biggest threats, we think, to civil discourse right now is this thing called rage baiting. And it's one of the most important things that we're going to say. So I want to read you the definition. Rage baiting is a manipulative tactic used to create content that provokes strong emotional responses, particularly anger. The goal is to increase engagement. So people are doing this for clicks and ad revenue and sales and that kind of thing. To manipulate public opinion, and it targets well-meaning people who feel they should be responsible to fight some fight for some kind of injustice, even though it might not even exist or have already been way blown out of proportion. Ask yourself, did you really pick this battle? So you're now defending the world, and you have the secret information, and you're out there protecting those who can't. Why? And if you're a vlogger, playing dangerously close to that line, is that really your place? I've seen this even in organizations that I've run where stories get built and I'm representing and all of this kind of thing, and the thing is built on sand. There's nothing there. And so I really think that is something that we need to check. Next one. When we started the content, we were open to all this travel discussion. We wanted to share everything we loved, but we were shocked by the few percent of the comments that we got that were just mean. I mean, it was crazy. So we started looking at it. Chris is a psychologist, and he started looking at it, and he realized there was patterns in some of these comments. These very specific terms and these very specific, ways of interacting, both with us and with each other. It looked very created. And we would notice too that some of these people would leave, and then they would come back under a different username that was just established recently with some of the same exact wording and same exact points of views and that kind of thing. So here's the thing, we don't know, but we think, and frankly, I believe, that this is contrived. This is deliberate. Who is it? Are they real? Am I crazy? I don't think so. But I wonder if there's just people out there trying to create negativity for their own purposes, whatever those purposes are. I don't have proof of that. I don't know. But when you look at what I've seen, it's out there. So let me tell you, be careful who you pay attention to. Pay attention to who's talking to who in the comments, what the comments are left across different channels, and you may see some patterns that we saw too. So I would say we want to look forward to finding solutions. So the next section is, how do we, kind of step back and evaluate this? Number one, I think absolutely don't ever squelch constructive criticism. So if the pools aren't working, which they're not, I'm not going to not acknowledge that. I want the pools to be working. They know that. They're working on it. Let's not squelch constructive criticism, but also let's not be a jerk. If you want to come to a dialogue, if you want to have some if you want to be effective, by the way, let's use some facts. Let's listen to each other and let's have a little understanding. I think having a dialogue is the important thing. And it's hard to have a dialogue when you're pointing your finger at somebody and accusing them of being everything but a decent person. I think you also need to promote informed decision making. If you're going to have opinion, especially if you're going to have a strong opinion, get some facts and maybe check them more than one place. And I think you also have to focus on positives. There's hundreds of happy people here. Let's put solutions on the table. Let's ask questions. When we do come together, when we have dialogue, when we talk with some kind of, respect, when we try to use the facts, when we try to get past misinformation, we clearly won't all get what we want. We will clearly have a list of gripes, but we can at least understand it, and then we can make a choice. If you only want it to be what you want it to be and it ain't that, then you've pretty much got a choice, because it ain't going to be everything you want. And you need to decide if you're in or out. And I think that's a very respectable and very common life experience for anybody. I hope that makes some sense, but I love your comments. I feel like they're coming on this one. Clearly, these are our opinions. We love being here and we're staying, and we want to be part of the solution. Okay, the last section is what's up next. We want to give a shout out to our members. Our members are so important to us. We ask you special questions. We appreciate all you do, and we thank you for all your support. Thank you for that love. The other thing I want to acknowledge is we have a really nice comment section, and we so appreciate your taking the time to do the comments. We really focus on trying to answer them all, and personally on these. So thank you for taking the time to give us comments. We are down near the bottom of the earth here, so we are loving South America, and we're loving our experience and all the beauty here. We love the nature and getting out in it. We've just been some of the cleanest, crispest air I've ever seen, and we are just so looking forward to the next many weeks, and we'll be bringing it with you. We have a big video coming up next week. Chris is working on it right now. Make sure you turn on notifications if you don't have them. And thank you for listening to all this today. It's so appreciated. And give us your comments, give us your feedback. And at that point, I'm going to say Villa V Vibes out.